Thank you for coming to the Active Teaching Lab. Good morning. Hope you're all warm and staying warm enough. So the Active Teaching Lab, if you haven't been here before, is a collaboration between the Teaching Academy and Doing Academic Technology. And the idea was, many years we had professional development programs for teaching where consultants would come in and say, oh, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. But realistically, although we have training and experience and such, we've never taught, most of us have never taught a 500-person lecture course in whatever your department is, or we've never taught a hands-on wet science lab class or things like that. So we thought, well, let's just get people in who have actual experience and have them talk back and forth with each other, and there's a better chance then that you will hear things that might apply to your class. So here we are with Active Teaching Lab. We've done many of these in the past. We are almost always technology related, technology focused. So after this semester, we'll have 191 labs under our belt, which is kind of fun. All kinds of different topics. Currently, we're at 2,440 or yeah. So participants, this semester, there's a schedule that you can grab on your way out from on your office door, so everybody can see it. Here comes to your office, and you can bring them along as well. A lot of good topics. So a live stream going on right now, and if you do not want to be in the live stream, go sit in the back over by Sid and Margaret, or I think Kevin is off right now as well. We call you guys out to the people online, know that you're in the room at least. Thank you for coming. It's better if you come because we'll give you coffee, orange juice, peanut butter, and bagels and such. That said, if you see something that you like today, you can go find the video and share it with a colleague, look at it again to clarify, did I get that right? Things like that. So we have a lot online. As with many campus programs, one of the metrics that's used to judge whether we are worthy is how many people are in the room. So thank you for coming. If you brought a buddy, thank you for bringing your buddy. Buddy Holly, everybody get that? It's money. Another metric are these blue sheets that you should have in front of you, evaluations. If you could take just a few minutes, even to just check some boxes on your way out today and drop them in the basket, that'd be good. If you have ideas for a lab topic, something you'd like to see, put it on the bottom of the sheet. If you have questions that weren't answered today that you would really like the answer to, there's a thing for other questions. Put your question there, add your email address, and we'll try to get it to you. Are there any other topics, announcements from anybody about teaching and learning? Yesterday we had Karen Skivitt in. She does the Teach Online at UW class. An excellent course. It's a 2-semester course for faculty who are thinking about or are teaching an online course. So if you have that in the works in the near future, I really recommend it. I went through it myself. It was very good. Oh, the other thing. You have in front of you, I hope, an activity sheet. We give you a 1-page handout resource with a lot of relevant information. There are some other things on the table here as well that we will refer to today, but the activity sheet is sort of the one that I want to point out right now. It's pretty cool, but you'll see that there are a lot of underlying blue things there. Those are links to our Canvas course. And the reason that you might want to join that, if I haven't already signed you up for it, and the way to join is by doing that top thing on the activity sheet here. It's a self-enrollment Canvas course. By doing that, you'll have some information here, but most importantly, the activity sheet is there, and you can have your own copy of it. And all these links work, right? The ones on your paper do not. They're not really so helpful. So that's the info for today. The way that we typically start these sessions is we go around the room and we try to make a list of things that people would like to see answered if they came here for some specific question. Here's a chance to. Yeah, really didn't hit this. Yesterday I did not pay enough attention to the boards. There were some things at the end of the session that I did not finish. Today I'm going to try harder to pay attention to the board. Is there anybody who'd like to start? Who are you and what tidbit would you like to leave with? All right, Eric.
So my name is Owen. I am the learning technology TA for LSS. And on Wednesday, I led a Module 0 workshop online too. So I came today to see what we're doing different.
He leads sessions throughout the semester, and as I know about them, I will promote them here as well. So this one actually starts before we start, so I didn't do any promotion before it started. Okay, excellent.
Oh, but we have a face-to-face session next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, face-to-face, in Van Hutten's room.
286.
286. All right. Excellent.
I'll go. I'm Jerome Kamal. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Anthropology, where I teach our gigantic Intro to Cultural Anthropology course as about 800 and something students. And I've actually spent the last few days designing an introductory module for that class with the help of Dental and Kathy. And one of the questions that's come up for me as I'm doing this is grown into something that's quite tricky, is how much is too much and what's the right balance between giving students the information they need and giving them too much information. So that's where I need a self-check.
Yeah, information overload.
Yeah.
Good. Arjeen?
Hi, I'm Martine Anderson. I work with academic technology, and I work with the REACH program, and I work with anatomy and physics and physiology, and we're just redesigning their really big, large lecture classes. Our classes have had module zeros and have been shifting kind of, Jerome, back to a balance between a module 0 and a straight up paper syllabus. Mostly because it's easier for the students after they've gone through module 0 and it's the middle of the semester to say, well, you didn't tell me that, and the instructors need to say, well, you need to go back and see what's needed. They have a hard time finding it. So having a balance between the two is what we're trying to figure out.
All right. Teresa?
Hi, I'm Teresa Pezzavento. I also work for academic technology. I'm Martine's counterpart, but work with chemistry and communication arts. So I've had a handful of varieties of module zeros, and for my own classes too. And I think I was curious about ideas you all might have.
Good. Kathy?
I'm Kathy O'Connell. I also work for academic technology, and within the REACH program, I work primarily with math, but also with anthropology.
Does everybody know what the REACH program is? Can you explain that in just a second?
Who knows what
What it actually stands for, let's not even go there.
Yeah. The tortured acronym is redesigning for active learning and high enrollment classes. Don't try to figure out how that makes the REACH acronym. Good luck to you. So it started out with some of the introductory level and continues with most of the introductory level high school. So it's blended.
Thank you. Any questions or points that you'd like to have?
I'm just anxious to hear the variety of things that students are doing.
Excellent. Okay.
Hi, I'm Kate Ratzenberg. I'm an instructor in the School of Pharmacy. Traditionally, in all the courses that I've participated in, we have the link to the Word document syllabus, and I'm wondering if we can do things a little bit better so that aren't surprises for students in the middle, but also that balance of student accountability of I expect you to read this and ask questions. So, fine line between spoon feeding everything versus you need to have something.
Good, thank you. Good.
Hi, I'm Tim. I work in the program with ESL. I'm kind of responsible for supporting our instructors with their campus use. Also designed some courses which I kind of manage on a blueprint basis. So we push out courses for other instructors. And kind of similarly, I'm looking to see what I want to compare what I've done to other people's ideas and see.
I'm Carolyn Daughtry-Crow, and I am also with the Academic Technology and Instructional Designer. So, colleagues with folks in this room, and I work behind the scenes with Margie on the Academy courses that are planned for each. And this is something that within the team we've talked a lot about, zero. So I'm curious what others are doing. And then also that question of kind of having too much information and making it easy for students to actually find, you know, you can say, just put everything up there, you should know this. Making sure it's simple enough for them to find and then
So we've had 3 or 4 things about reach right now, and I'm gonna add a question here is, how many people does it take to make your module 0, right? How easy is it to make module 0? Okay, thank you, good.
Hi, my name is Tim. Think of me as Music Tim because I'm a doctoral student at the School of Music. I teach violin and guitar to non-music majors. And one thing I'm curious about is usually when I attend or see a first class and the teacher starts going over the syllabus and all of these requirements, most students just kind of think this is just a throwaway session. And how do you get them to engage with the requirements and expectations of what they're doing?
All right, so another one on engagement and accountability. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lynn. I teach in the biochemistry department. And one question I have about the module 0 is how people work out the timing of it. And I wonder how much is reasonable to expect students to do before the semester starts.
All right, timing, and that also kind of fits with accountability and too much information versus
Yeah.
not enough, so all right, this is a good thing this first. We'll start with that one. Sure.
I'm Sharon Toma, and I'm in the integrative biology / zoology department. I teach Bio 101, which has 600 to 900 students this semester. And I just came because I wanted to hear ideas and see if I got a little nugget of things to add. And I'm sending out my intro to welcome to the class email today. So
Okay.
I can add it.
Very good. Heidi.
I'm Heidi, I'm also with ESL, and I'm wondering if it's possible to leverage module 0 so that it can somehow be used after week 0 in some way, so it's not just a self-contained thing that happens at the beginning, but can we maximize it?
Excellent. And so one of the things that you'll see in the activity sheet are things like, what are the things that we can do to help students be successful? Revisiting that throughout the semester is excellent, so good. Greg.
Greg Conant, I'm also from Zurich Academic Technology. I'm just kind of here to listen and see what people have to say and hear the conversation. That's it.
Good. Kevin.
Good morning, Kevin Thompson, Zurich Academic Technology, Instructional Designer. I hope to be able to share an example of a week 0 course introduction module that we developed using the template that the activity sheet references here for a summer 8-week kinesiology course.
Excellent, thank you for sharing. Paul.
Paul Schwartz, School of Nursing, teaching the large active classrooms there. And I'm interested in actually some of the questions on the backside of how to communicate with students, how to help them feel, do I belong here? Are other people like me here? I want to succeed here.
Oh, excellent, yeah. And I just want to actually point out that on that activity sheet, if you go to it, I see that we already had Carolyn, good job. On the very back of it, there are also things that you can add here under the what ideas or questions you have and collaborative notes. So if we all work together and got that map out and you're like, here's something cool, just add it up there, and that way it'll be a record for others. Thank you for bringing that up, Paul.
I'm Jessica. I teach in biological system engineering. My thesis is teaching, so I'm just looking for inspiration.
Very good, thank you.
Erica Anna, Department of Nutritional Sciences. I teach, I inherited a course. We are developing a course by enrollment for the summer. So I'm here to listen. I'm very interested in module 0.
Okay. Anybody else? Kristen?
Hi, Kristen also from ESL. Kind of echo about module 0 in the middle. I teach a lot of writing and sometimes talking about this, what to do in the abstract. It's better for them to try and not fail, but then once they maybe didn't get the grade they want, they're more receptive to ideas in module 0. And the other thing is lots of heavy content in at least one of my classes at the beginning. In module 0, we somehow combined with content. I don't know.
Good.
Crazy question.
And Sid.
I'm Sid Freitag from New Academic Technology. I work with John, and I work also with our blended active learning initiatives.
I'm Margaret Murphy. I'm a graduate student at the iSchool, but have had a career in instructional design. So here working with John for the next semester.
Sarah Miller, do academic technology, try lead of reach, and I think module 0 is the key to level up in teaching. Learning, awesome.
Emily Lowe, I work with Do It Academic Technology, and I'm the project manager on REACH, and I've heard this term thrown out a lot and thought it might be useful to actually understand what it is.
Did you all see how Cliff waited till everybody else was hovering by the food?
And it didn't work. So yeah, my name is Cliff Cunningham. I work with Do It in the academic technology learn at UW space. I do a lot of the Canvas support. There's 4 or 5 of us that are doing primary support. Just here to learn, so we know what you guys are talking about.
Okay, so after today's session, actually at 1 o'clock, right, but still on Cliff. If you have other questions about, there's a lot to cover today. We only have an hour, and we're not going to cover it. Cliff is a great resource. He leads up the learning.
There's no escape.
Whatever that stands for.
Yeah.
Yes.
During training
True.
support.
But he does Canvas training, technical training sessions.
Yeah.
And this afternoon, what's happening?
This afternoon is tips and tricks, Canvas tips and tricks, starting at 1 o'clock over in the biochemistry building.
Okay.
Biochemistry B1144A. Check with me if you need directions.
And what's happening in 102 today?
102 right after this session from 10 to noon. It's just going to be an open door. I set it up as office hours, and I'm getting nervous because we're advertising it a lot more than we have in the past. No. It's good. It's meant to be a time to just come drop in and try to get support. There'll be hopefully a couple of us there who can answer some questions, but otherwise it's just a bit of a free-form space to sit down, do some development work while somebody's there to possibly provide some support.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Dan.
Good morning. So I'm Dan Pell. I work in Do It AT with a lot of the people here, and I guess for as module 0 goes, I spent most of the week working on them. And what I'm really interested in, where's the sweet spot? How much is too much? How much is not? What's the right amount and the right pacing?
Excellent. Kevin, you want to start?
Sure.
Okay, good. So coffee just kicked in, so I'm ready to go. Introduction to exercise psychology is normally run during the full semester, but it's a highly popular course, required course. They had kind of a bottleneck, and so they wanted to create a summer version of it, which ran this past summer. So what I want to do is just show you this course orientation, as we called it, week 0. Some people don't like the week 0, the module 0 term, course orientation.
Sounds like extra work for the students, right? No, I only signed up for 14.
Yeah, now you give me another one. So I just want to show you what this looks like. You'll see that it looks very similar to the screenshot that's on your activity sheet in terms of its structure. So here we're using the Canvas modules tool to break up the requirements for this. Now, students were asked to, as you can see up in the top, complete this module before the course begins because of the accelerated pace of summer that was particularly important. So the structure that we have here required them to go through each of the sections in order to, before the the next module launched, they needed to at least view them. So I'll just take you really quickly through what we include in here, and we can kind of think about what is that right balance of too much, not enough, and sort of how we're addressing it here. One, we wanted them to get a sense of instructor presence. So who were these instructors who they weren't going to be seeing face-to-face? This was fully online. So a video was developed on addressing that, so they could get to know their instructors, who they were, and what the course was, what they can expect from the course. The primary instructor, some details about how they should communicate with them. So that being critical, being fully online, people spread out all over the country, essentially taking the course. How can they get a hold of the instructor? What are the communication preferences? Virtual office hours, things of that nature. Now, in the introduction, some of you mentioned what role does the more traditional paper syllabus play in all of this? So within our Module 0 here, we do have a link to a PDF version of the syllabus, which has all those types of details that questions that may come up throughout the semester. We wanted to make sure that it was still an easy, printable, something that they could tangibly have in their hands to reference. I'm not going to go through a lot of these details here, but it includes the course outcomes. So we made sure we were since there's a greater emphasis on that these days. What types of learning materials do they need to have access to? What assignments and point values? So essentially the grading structure is included in this document, grading scale, and then eventually, here we go, just a nice, easy to reference schedule for what's happening on each of the weeks, what are the due dates for each of those key assignments that are referenced as well. So that is the extent of the paper syllabus. Understanding the requirements of the course. These are all basic components that are part of the template that, again, is referenced on the activity. And it was just tailored for the specifics of this course. Being a fully online course, we also included, we wanted to emphasize how much time, how much effort should go into the course. What are the expectations for time investment? So this was referenced here. As well as a sort of a sample similar schedule. Let's see if this displays here on Canvas. So the instructors wanted to kind of provide students with a few different ways of viewing what was happening on a weekly basis, because there's so much happening at such an accelerated pace. And students could kind of pick and choose which method they preferred. A lot to keep track of, honestly, in terms of instructors keeping all the dates and things consistent. Technology in the course is another part of the Module 0. This is, again, all part of the standard template that we use. Very little customization was done to this. So just all the different plugins and things that might be required in order to view content and things of that nature. Also some guidelines on etiquette. It is.
So people don't have to know they don't have to go build this, so it's easier. You've done the work for you.
Right. Yeah, it's all in there. How to get help?
Kevin, I'm sorry, just
Sure, yeah.
just real quick. So then you're hitting the next button to move. And so these are all different pages within Canvas?
Yeah, so that module structure that I showed earlier, I'm moving through that sequence with the next button. The modules tool is allowing me to progress in a linear fashion. And then I'll bring us back to there so we can see where we were. But nothing fancy here in terms of formatting, all very text headings, inline links, what resources are available, university policies, just so everything's covered. And then we finally get to what are some activities to get you started. So they wanted to make sure that their profiles were updated so they had a sense of who they were in class with, introduce themselves to the class through the discussion forum. And then what I thought was interesting is they decided to create a syllabus hunt. So someone in the introductions had referenced, how do we kind of incentivize them to read the syllabus so that we can kind of emphasize what is most important. So they created a quiz that had a small amount of points associated with it, and it just targeted when the due dates were, what the expectations were, just so students, had a reason to kind of dig in. And yes.
So is it the quizzes? I imagine it's one of those. You can take it as many times as you want. We just want you to get the right answer, so it's not just you did it wrong. You got an F. You're going to totally fail.
Absolutely.
It's like do it over and over, so that at the end of it, there's no way you can come up to the instructor afterwards and say, "I don't know what you're talking about. I never saw it." You're like, "No, it was a quiz question that you passed."
Right. Yes. And yes, Kevin.
I was just gonna add to that, so in math, what we've done is, we have not only the syllabus quiz, but contained within, we have a module 0 quiz, which the student is quizzed over the whole module 0, but also the syllabus within module 0. And then we designed it so that they must take the quiz, they must pass the quiz. If they don't pass the quiz, then they can't have access to the remaining modules. So it forces them to have to really go in and look for that information.
And I know that in the med school, I was just talking to Yan Chang yesterday. She's actually created a intro module 0 in Storyline, and it's the same sort of thing. You have to finish it in order to move on to have more content done. It's a much fancier, harder level thing to do to create a Storyline. It can be done very easily in a quiz, and that's good. One other thing before we get to the quiz is you had talked about on the previous thing about the profile, filling out the profile and introducing yourself to the class. So I think one of the big cool things about the week 0 module is it tells your students, here's how to succeed in the class. Here's what you need to know to be successful in the class. One of the biggest indicators of success is if the students feel like they belong in the class. And you go into a new class, and if it's 800 students or 500 students or whatever, you can feel very much alone and by yourself and like nobody else understands me, nobody knows what I'm like. By having them have a profile, and I make it required to have a picture, either by giving them a page or saying do it on your profile, so that I can say, oh, that's Margine. It's not just the name Margine with a generic picture that shows up in the discussion forum, but I know who she is. She sits, 3 rows ahead of me or whatever. I've seen her before. I belong, and you start to build that level of
community.
And that's super important. Like, it's very important according to the research. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, so and that is essential. And just to bring us back here to modules, just so we get again, a sense for where we were. So we went through this sequence, again, using those next buttons. And this is where you could set up those kind of conditional releases like Kathy was talking about, that if you want to require that a student at least has to view each one of these and pass with a certain score on that syllabus quiz, whatever you refer to that as, before the next module and subsequent modules will unlock. This is where you get all that set up. That was done with some of the options up here in the modules area, and Cliff's courses will, I'm sure at some point cover that type of thing where there's.
Sure. Fun fact. So these 3 dots, vertical dots, we call them the kebab. The 3 lines here, it's called the hamburger menu. So it's kebab menu and hamburger menu. Just more information if you would.
Any questions before I take my seat?
And
how do you do that?
Is it simple to
For the
that
kind of conditional release?
I
Yes.
send you a link. I have a lesson that walks you through how to do conditioning.
And that lesson is on, it's on the electronic version of the activity sheet because I added it after I printed it out. So you have to get onto our class to get to it. But yeah, it's a whole other Canvas course on how to do this stuff. Thanks.
Once you get your module structure set up, then it's really as simple as going into the co-op and setting up what do you want students to be required to do. In this case, we said they must view the item. We could have added another requirement that a certain score be achieved on that syllabus quiz. And then there are prerequisites for the modules that come after to say, Module 1 has a prerequisite of successful completion of the course orientation. So there are requirements, and then there are prerequisites, and that course would cover that. Any other questions?
Great. So we're going to do one, Kevin's example, Rachel's example, and then explain if you want to go into Dr. example.
Okay. And just to clarify then, so really, literally, you just had a module 0. That was the module 0. It's
That was it.
Just
That-
one,
that
just one
sequence of
module.
pages.
Excellent. Okay.
Those were Canvas pages plus a quiz.
Yep.
And then students
And then
went through plus the
conceive-
syllabus.
And then conceivably, once you pop out of that, then you're go.
Then
That's
they're in
then you're
the
into week
course
1 or day 1 or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
So you said there's a template. How do we access that?
Yeah, so that is, the instructions are on this activity sheet. There is a knowledge base.
There's a KB article.
A KB article.
If you guys know about KB, if you don't know about KB, talk to me. But if you know KB, go open up, get to the search bar and just type in Canvas template. And I think there's only one KB that responds to Canvas template.
And it walks you through and how to access.
How you can download it, and you can even upload it into your own course.
Plugging in for Canvas office hours this
And
afternoon.
Canvas office hours is
o'clock?
10 to noon today is Canvas office hours.
In 102.
In 102. Yep.
And we'll send them down with the leftover bagels and coffee. So.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I wanted to share a couple examples. As I said, we in both physics and anatomy have kind of shifted our module 0 so that all of the course policies, all the grading, all that stuff is in a more traditional syllabus, which they can access via our syllabus links, our apps, so they can access that on the left-hand side. And we decided to shift the other types of things that we wanted them to get in module 0 to a success page, basically. So how do you succeed in this course? And we talked a little bit, I think somebody had asked, how do we show a sense of belonging, right? In that first example, it's an online course for Instructor Presence. The instructors made a video themselves. Physics also has a video featuring the instructors, but what I wanted to show you is also they have captured some of the students' attitudes, and I know Teresa, you do this in chemistry as well. I have that too, where we've captured a few of the students, and that really gives them a sense of who is in this course and how did they struggle through it. So I'll share a little bit of that. Does this sound good?
Yes. Wi-Fi slow down.
Oh. It can't be because you have 1 million things tabs open.
My computer's beautiful.
We have a KB about that.
To be honest, it was a little overwhelming at first for me. I actually missed one of the first assignments, but that helped me to schedule learning time into my daily routine. And then when I got to lecture, then I was so much better able to conceptualize what we were talking about. And for me, I'm more of a big picture learner, so it was really helpful. And I actually used these set of skills from physics in my other classes, and I've been implementing that ever since.
I found that the online component as well as the in-classroom learning experience was super beneficial to my learning because I was reviewing constantly rather than right before the exam. In my other classes, my grade may just be based on 1 or 2 or 3 exams, and I would just start learning right before and not really understand what I'm learning or retain anything afterwards.
The best way to get a feel for the course will be to log in to learn.
So we won't go into that, but just giving the students a sense that there's other people who have struggled through this with you, and they got through it. We can tell them what to say. They just came up with that stuff. We also have two other pieces, three, basically I want to show you on this page. These in their courses would be hot things, but we have a
I'm
power.
gonna just
go ahead.
talk a little bit more about that student video. That's so cool to have, because there's one thing, when your parents say, eat the life cereal, it's good for you. But it's another thing when, Joey,
Mikey.
Mikey likes it. And they see that, oh, he likes it, it must be good. Hearing from the other students is way more powerful about the value of your course than hearing from you. Hearing how to succeed in it is way more powerful than hearing from you. There's research on self-generated importance of your class. It's one thing to tell the students, you should listen and pay attention because the class is good for you, it'll be helpful, da-da-da-da-da-da. At that point, you've already lost them. And the research actually shows that you telling them is actually worse than not telling them. So, what is better is if you say, sit down, take 5 minutes, and figure out 3 ways this course might benefit you. If they self-generate that, and I think we've got links to it on the back of the activity sheet. If they self-generate that, it can actually, fix you telling them that it's good for them as well. So that's an important and sort of surprising, but based thing.
I just want to add to that. So I think if you're trying to have the students understand how to best succeed in the course, coming, as John is saying, coming from other students in the class can be really beneficial. Also, the purpose of Module 0 is for students to get to know you as instructors. So one should not necessarily replace the other. What John is emphasizing is how to succeed in the course as a student, but the students also need to start to get a feel for you as the instructor and your presence, having used the word presence, which is very important. So especially if you're going to be a blended course. So
and your own personal stories, like they're interested in why this is important to you. Like that's a personal testimonials of.
Well, we got the students, and here's the not flavored cereal now. We also expect them to go through this PowerPoint, which is kind of setting the tone for the class. These classes, we have more active learning than it would be in a traditional lecture. They're expected to talk to each other and not just sit there and look at books on Amazon. I swear, every time I see students with their Amazon up, they're looking at things I don't know why. Maybe it's just we want them to know who their responsibilities are, and then they're part of their own learning team. Also, the research shows that when they know a little bit about how learning happens and how cognition happens, that they're more apt to understand why active learning is important. They may still be grumbly about it, but they're a little bit more apt to understand the science behind it. So that's what this piece is about. And I'd be happy to share that with anybody who wants to see it. And finally, kind of like, I think it's in the template, but basically a list of many campus resources that go beyond like how to get help, but also just reminding them that there's a whole lot of people who care about you on this campus. So we lead with health services and letting them know that health services is there for you and we care about your well-being. So, and then the other activities.
Thoughts or questions from Regine? Are you guys getting anything out of this? Is this useful? All right.
I
just want to clarify, this is on the template.
No, this is the page that I made, but it's you could completely add health services to the template page.
I think it's on one of the templates, because I had this identical page.
I probably
Or did you give it to me?
Margine got it, misstudied you.
I'll set you up, but also Kevin, any of those things. It's just showing that healthcare, that showing them that you do see them as a human being, even though there's 500 of them human beings.
So I also want to point, I never even finished this. Point out the module 0. What a great activity sheet, John. There you go. This is the one that you were talking about. It's a whole course on how to do this, and again, it's linked to the activity sheet. and you'll find ideas there as well. Are there any ideas that you added that others have not already covered?
Yeah. You want me to start?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So when I was doing this, one thing that became clear to me is that Module 0 had something to do not just with the student, but also with the teacher. So I divided it in two parts. I divided up for the instructors section, and this part was you have issues with Canvas. This page walks you through. I talked to the provost, and they were very helpful, and they told me this is what we want all courses to have. So that's what they would like. But they also gave me a template to how they would like the courses to be, and it's right there. So if you want it, you just download it. And so I did that. I remember my experiences doing those when things were happening, so I added the academic calendar. And then I have some, I thought it was fun. I always have problems with my office hours because I was just alone in my, it was a waste of my time. So I thought, how can I get them involved in choosing the office hours and I turn it into a survey? And if they take this survey, it's super easy. I just thought, well, what days work for me? And then give them those choices and then they can take the quiz. And then with course analytics, you just plug in it and you see exactly where all the people want to have the office hours. So that, and then I have a Q&A. If you keep an open Q&A throughout the semester, you can do a little bit of crowdsourcing, like common questions that they might come up with. They can just post it on the Q&A. And
so the Q&A is a discussion forum that is open to all of the students to add as well, so they can answer the questions for each other as well.
And you can set the settings so that they can, open threads and follow threads, and they can have like answers. And I think that I said that the one with most answers, I will be commenting on it. But I thought it was a way to get them a little bit more involved.
May I interrupt?
What?
May I interrupt the question?
Yeah.
Sometimes people use Piazza. Is there a
Yes.
benefit
Oh,
to
sure.
using discussion boards over
I
Piazza?
think Piazza has way more options than the discussion board that is native to Canvas has.
Specifically, anonymity. In Piazza, they can set it up where the questions posed can be anonymous, whereas here you can't. You can't anonymize your message. Something else, if I may throw in, I mean, this comes up a lot during discussions in courses, but just be mindful that discussions as they are created here in Canvas cannot be exported. And they won't be shared from year to year. So there are sometimes faculty have tried using it as a Q&A and then suddenly realize, wow, this is a good exchange. It can be a great resource for students to look at in future years, but they've lost it because once the semester turns over, you copy content, it's stuck back there and there's no way to get it out.
Well, this actually might be a great way to time to have an embedded Google Doc.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can just carry over for year to year.
That's a great point. I mean, they both have their advantages, but yeah, just be mindful that if it becomes a good resource, it's kind of stuck there.
I did, I suggested also doing kind of like a scavenger hunt for the syllabus, but I turned it into scenarios. So I'll show it to you. They're like Sally turned in her paper 2 days after. What kind of grade can she expect to be? And I did that for deadlines, attendance, assignments, and things like that. It's just a handful of questions. I thought it was a good idea to have a technical hub, and so that takes you to do it, help desk, and training for faculty and staff and stuff like that. And finally, the last minute check-in is for broken links and accessibility, because two things that Canvas can do for you. And for the students, I kind of mirror the same thing, and then send it to the syllabus, a little bit of etiquette, technical help, and it also includes resources kind of following what Martin was saying, things that are outside the realm of the academic classroom, and I included links to the food pantry. That seems to be an issue for some of our students. Tutoring services, and all of that. And if you find that any of that material is relevant to you, there is that link will take you to how to import this into your course, and then you can say whatever you want. And it has like screenshots on how to do it.
So again, the worst comes down to you just got to customize it. So having looked at those 3 examples in Canvas, let's revisit this. Too much information? What's in it? Does that feel like, oh my gosh, as a student, this is way too much? How quickly can I get through this without looking at it?
When I was going through this, I thought it was a lot, and my solution ended up being like cluttered them into logical module for me. So if you feel like you need it, then go into it. Otherwise, just
Yeah, navigation options, I think, is one of the big things. Again, great learning principle. Students who feel like they have agency in the class, even if it's take this preset linear path or choose your own adventure, that's great. That helps them feel like this is my learning rather than this is a thing that's being imposed on me.
Another thing we've frequently done is timestamp it. So if you think it should take them about a half hour to go through module 0, say that up front. So that they're not falling way short of that or going way over, and they know what the expectations are.
And that's good for any assignment. This assignment should take you, and then I've heard that the formula is however long it takes you to do it, times 2. That might vary depending on what your level of expertise is.
I think it's also helped to your question, Jerome, if it grows out of control, then you're saying a half hour, but then it's turning into 3 hours, it can help be that check on your need to offload.
I want to point out one other thing, and that is I've got a couple of copies spread out around the table here. Martin Gernsbacher syllabus is a 6-page, 7-page syllabus. It has the same type of information in here. There is a link to it on the activity page. Just going to open up another course.
While you're doing that, I do want to mention that a lot of the examples that you've seen have had some help from technology specialists or designers. But that doesn't mean you can't do that on your own and that there aren't resources and ways to learn how to do like a video on your own, interview students on your own. There's a lot of support systems. Don't be scared off by some of the design elements.
And Martin, in her role with the campus accessibility and I forgot the exact title, but she publishes everything out to the world as part of that. So you don't have to create your own web page. And what she did here is she just created a PDF as of a syllabus. It's a fancy looking syllabus, but it has things like, what will I learn in this course? How will I learn in this course? And 14 points of what I will learn. Now, those 14 points correlate with the 14 weeks of the semester. She's really thought through this course. This is a class that's been well thought out. How will I learn? Active learning, she talks about why it's important. Actually includes the research behind it. Therefore, in this course, you will acquire skills every day by completing 84 incremental assignments across the term. How many assignments do you have in your class? 14-week class. It's like 3 a week, right? 4 a week. Daily things.
6 a week.
6 a week. Yeah, okay, so it's a lot, right? How does she grade that? She explains, again, one sort of easy thing. Her system she set up, because there are so many assignments and she's got 200 students, she makes them all 0, 1, 2, or 3. So they're all very easy to grade. And that's how she can actually manage to have enough time to grade all of her assignments, because it's like 3, 2, 4, 1. How do I succeed? What do I learn? Again, these are the same things. Unit 1, it's according to it. Oh, that's a summer course. It's not even. not even 14 weeks. How much time do I need? What do I have to do to access? How to respond to each other's things so that building in that social learning, here's modeling of how to do this. Accommodations, teaching assistant concerns, a little note from the professor. Not a big note, just a little one. Although because this is an online class and she's videotaped all of her lectures, they get a lot of heavy dose of instructor presence in this online class. Flexibility. So this is one of the things that I love about Morton is we all wake up some mornings and we are just not equipped to be the best that we are, right? It's okay. She builds in this flexibility so that you can look ahead on the days that you're really thriving, and on the days that you're not thriving, maybe that you can have built up some stuff there that can do that. And if you do miss out on a thing, it won't sink you. There are no high stakes assignments in her class at all. It's all low stakes, cumulative, incremental, she calls it, work. And then a little bit more. Right. Any other thoughts on that? So 7 pages is, or the equivalent in Canvas pages. Is that too much? Is that too little? When I was a student, we didn't have it. It was just kind of, here's when you'll read, and maybe here are the dates that things are, but more likely before we'd say, oh, next week you should do blah, and they'd say it, and I'd be like, what was that?
I'm just curious for people who have established multiple zeros, how much time do you estimate they take students? Is it half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? What's the average? Anybody more than an hour? Estimate out?
Well, and I imagine that it's the thing that if the students are really, really concerned about it, then they can spend more than an hour on it. If you're a student who's like what I was, how fast can I get through this and still pass the test with the quiz?
I'll offer too that what we've learned in chemistry, which can have up to 4,000 students per semester in chemistry. And they have a lot of moving parts. They have a lab and discussion and all of the requirements they have to pass, like a lab safety test. It's a long module, but they complain if they don't get all of the critical information out front. Because we framed it to help them be successful in sort of the early stages of the Gen Chem Module 0, if there was something that they were going to learn later on that we did include in a module, even though we made it really long, it wasn't really helping them be successful. So it's one of the ways that we've heard directly from the students and also just come to terms with, and they have to go through a longer module. But we're being really transparent about the information and it's helping them. So, just timestamp, but I don't know. I think the fit might depend per course, but courses that are more complicated might have to have a more complex organization.
I would also add that is that with all of this kind of information, the students don't go through the module once and then read it and never return. They're continually coming back to the module or 0 because they know that's where all of the key information is, the dates, how to succeed, whatever the student may need. The module 0 really is the hub, right? Anything I need to know about the course is in module 0, and they can't retain it all, so they're continually throughout the semester coming and going. So.
And this goes back to what Morton had talked about, the incremental distributed learning. The educational science term is distributed learning versus massed learning. And we know that if you do a boot camp style thing where you learn everything that there is to learn about topic A, and then you move on to topic B and you never go back and revisit topic A, the learning only lasts a little bit after you start to the next topic. But if you talk a little bit about this and you spread it out throughout the semester, then you're more likely to remember it, to apply it, to make connections to other topics, things like that. So the idea of when do we revisit it? Is it a sustainable thing? I think that that's it exactly. People will continue to go back to it if you've got good information about that. So why do active learning? Oh, I need that reminder. And it might not just be, it's there, I can go back and look at it myself, but reminding your students, just as you remind them at the beginning of every activity, the objectives for this activity are for you to learn dot, dot, and dot. Remember, we're going to do active learning. Look back at the syllabus or the week 0 module to sort of set the tone. It's kind of like, as I promised in week 0, we are now doing this again. So that it's not really a constant reminder, but periodic reminder of this is why we're doing this. This is why. But again, I think it's self. Other topics, ideas, thoughts. What did we miss? What did you think would be included that we have not?
I'm just gonna add one other perspective on how a lot of these are set up and remind you of some of the tasks that you, by having the students go through this, you're also training them in the online software, how to do a quiz, how to engage with the outset, how to post a discussion board, and in a very low stakes way. So that's another dimension to this that is really important. But you're not making it so that the first time they have to figure out how to do a quiz is when the timer is ticking on the first quiz, but you're actually giving them a chance to do it.
Very low stakes.
Before very low stakes in that version. So it's also about that kind of learner training element, which is great.
Greg, you had a question earlier as well?
Not so much a question, and maybe this was actually covered too. I was talking with Kevin that the example of the summer course that he was showing with the physiology course. They actually, Dr. Cook released it. That module 0 was open. I don't know if it was a week before the course started or a couple days before. So the amount of time that they spent wasn't a really large amount, and they could knock it off before they got into the first week when they started to get into other assignments.
How many of you have experienced that first day of the syllabus reading, either as a student yourself or maybe you've been as an instructor? And yeah, it was a big part of, the first day. We don't have to totally plan on partying afterwards because we don't have any assignments that first day. It's probably like 3 weeks before the first assignment is due. I think this module 0 both gives you an idea. It sets the tone of what's expected for the course and what it's going to feel like. So in many ways, it's super important. If you set the tone with let's do the syllabus, then you've kind of sunk yourself in the semester perhaps.
I give an anecdote too, that thinking about belonging and ways to incorporate the community aspects into Module 0, don't underestimate sort of the meta level that Module 0 works to do that on its own, because they've now had a shared experience when they come into the class. And I've sat in the back row of chemistry, even if it's negative, right? Watching them write to each other about something that's gonna have to happen. They have a common starting point. And so we've seen it build community really quickly, regardless of what you put in there. Not to say that the content isn't important, right? But it will do that on some level anyway, which has just been really interesting. It gives them something to kind of rally behind right away, for better.
I had my students create introductory videos, speaking of shared traumatic experiences, and then they would watch each other's videos. So they've all embarrassed themselves right away with each other in front of the class. And at that point, they're like, well, so.
On that previous note about the first day of the class meeting and reading the syllabus, for those that have a module 0, do you find that you spend less time on the first day? So you're able to move into content.
What does that look like, Tom?
So previously on the first day, it would be a syllabus and course description day. Now it's a class community building day, and here's the work we need to do, and here's how to do it, and go. So yeah, that's setting that tone.
So how do we deal with students that just enrolled? I didn't enroll last week or in spring, so I didn't get the email from you telling me to do this. I show up in class. I'm expecting a reading of the syllabus day, just so I can ease into it. And now all of a sudden everybody's already working. What do we do about those students? How do we handle that?
One small idea is posting things through announcements, so that if a student does go into the page, at least they can see
the announcements that have already been posted that would have been emailed out to students as well. That way.
Excellent.
What I did last semester for that, because we do tend to get coming late students switching classes,
Right.
they like, is I would have the homepage would be a daily plan, and then at the bottom it would say what you may have missed. So it links back to
Yeah.
modules or pages that this is what we've already covered. Go.
And that what you may have missed, or the summary of previous, or how this connects to what we've done previously, is, I mean, we see it on TV shows all the time, right? Previously on so-and-so. And it helps get you up to speed. It helps for the students as well. Even if they were there, like having that little reminder so that they start not being like, all right, wait, what do we have to do? But they've just read that paragraph previously on, and now they're like, all right, I'm ready to go. So that's good practice. Okay, guys.
And the other thing, kind of talking about the revisiting. So,
Yeah.
so once we've kind of moved on from each one and the homepage changes, for me, what I use is the redirect tool to link students back to the course description, syllabus, and any of this other information that I wanted to go back to. So I don't know, John, the menu on the side there, you can kind of customize what those things link to. You can make your own links. You can link them to your module.
Is it an app or a feature option?
It's an app, and it's
All
called
right.
Redirect. It's the arrow there.
So under settings, under apps, you can turn on this redirect tool. It looks like this. And that will let you customize something on this page or on this menu here. So you can have a link here that goes to an external resource or just about anything. Click.
And just a caveat, we stumbled across this actually 2 weeks ago. Some people want to get rid of the word module and call it something else. So you would think you would want to go hide modules and then create a new button that will take you to modules. But by the act of hiding that tool called modules, you are not able to create a new redirect button that goes to the exact same thing that you've just hidden. So we were hoping, at the time we could do that because, hey, we can make you all these cool buttons, but Canvas, before recognizing the button, it recognizes the destination of that button. And if you've hidden that destination, you can't get to it even with the new button.
This may be worth talking just a moment on standardization.
Yeah.
And as much as we hate to be atomic bombs, and all the same, there is something very useful for the students in having a uniform structure that is the same in your class and in the next class and in the next class, so that they don't have to spend that cognitive energy on what are the assignments, what is this called in this class, how does Dr. So-and-so describe her stuff versus that other thing. That uniformity is actually a feature in many ways and can help keep them focused on the content.
From earlier in the session, I was thinking that Google document, if you create a shared Google Doc for a Q&A, that'd be a perfect candidate. It's an external item. It has its own URL. You create it, you can stick it right on that toolbar so people can always get to the Q&A real quick.
And I guess the point that I wanted to make sure that I made was, how do we know if this works? Let's ask our students. How do we know if what we're doing is the best option, or if there are better options out there? Ask your students. As an instructor, we teach a handful of courses, right? And we teach them all probably in the same way because we're teaching them and they're coming from our brains. The students they all take several courses, dozens of courses in their time. They have a lot more exposure about different types of courses that they take. If you ask them, what am I doing in my course that I could do better? They can pull on the 12 courses or so that they've taken and say, I had a class last semester that did this way instead of what you do, and it worked really well for us. Or things like that. Kevin.
Two quick things. Included in the set of templates is a mid-semester survey with sample questions. So if you want to gather some feedback and want just some ideas of questions you could ask, that's included in there. Also, Carolyn mentioned the use of the announcements tool to list the important things of what they may have missed. On the homepage, one feature that's not turned on by default, at least it used to not be, is having your most recent announcements listed at the top of the Canvas homepage. And you can turn that on way down at the bottom of settings. You have to go back to the first course details.
Tab.
Yeah. And go all the way to the bottom.
It's the worst thing, it's more options, really.
Oh, they really
Seems like it's got less
smaller than
restriction.
it used to be.
Yeah. That little checkbox right there, show recent announcements on course homepage. If you turn that on, if you're a user of the announcements tool, then those most recent ones will always be there.
So no matter what your homepage is pointing to, those announcements always are snapped up.
You may want to also include, I know that there's something on this, is it on that page itself where the students can respond to those announcements?
There is an option to allow a threaded discussion underneath each announcement if you choose to.
Disable comments, that's it.
Disable comments.
So we've had instructors say, oh, I use announcements, but then they respond to it and now it's all cluttered and there's stupid things up there.
I didn't go looking for
That's a
that.
problem for you. Make sure you disable comments on that. In the last 2-3 minutes, are there any other topics that we did not get to or that have popped up in your brain that we should talk about?
What about releasing the course early? You want to talk about,
releasing the course early?
because right now the default is students cannot interact with your course. They can't take quizzes or submit assignments or
Until the semester
make
starts,
comments on discussions until the official first date of the semester.
right?
So if you want to,
Can
How
they
do we
get
adjust
content?
that?
they can get content, so they can get access to the modules as soon as you publish it. In fact, maybe that's worth also saying is they can still see the content. So if you publish it right now, students can get in there right now and look and read anything that you have published. But yeah, but if you want them to interact with the course, to take this survey or to hit check boxes to say that you've completed components, you'll need
You
to
can start
monkey around with that start date.
Semester earlier, if you'd like.
Yeah.
Just in math, we always send my module 0 out a week in advance, and students love it. Within 48 hours, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of their learning calendars have been submitted, and they're taking quizzes. So they really like that because when they get there the first day, they already have a sense or a feel for kind of what's happening. And then, not related to that, I just want to say really quick before we lose time, we've talked a lot about including the logistics of the course. This morning, the one thing that I would really encourage you all is, aside from the logistics of the course, how to succeed in the course, what it means to be an independent learner, those kind of things, to have your voice come through in some way, shape, or form about your enthusiasm, your passion for the topic, and included in that could be, and this is especially on our mind in the calculus series, is what is this course really going to do for me? Or it's basically a prerequisite to get me into whatever my major is. But putting it onto something in your own real lives. So one of the things we did for Module 0 is we included a set of like fun calculus, contemporary, real world books that they could refer to. Or if there's things that come out through NPR, we'll post a link in there. So just to keep it relevant to them, so that it's not just a half as equal course because but also really letting your voice and your passion for your discipline come through somehow. And that sparks them.
Inclusive teaching would say, how can you highlight the non-mainstream, the non-canon people, like other than the dead white men, right? Who else is in this field so that we can start to have more diverse members of the field feel like I belong there too. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only. In the last minute, as we leave, thank you for coming.